What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream here by Agent Weather Forecast, and we have a lot to talk about in today's video. We are looking at a very intense QLCS to rip through portions of the Midwest, and we are also watching out possibly for some strong and as well widespread tornadoes across today, across anywhere from the Kansas and as well Nebraska area right now, which is going to be now carrying into the main moderate risk, which is actually currently across Iowa portions as well, getting closer towards as well portions of Minnesota. So we are basically just in the peak, or we're getting towards the peak of this event. We are obviously now starting to get our way towards the main event itself. We now have, I believe, 8 tornado warnings as well. We do have confirmed tornadoes, and a lot is happening right now with this very, very, very strong low level jet. We are watching out for dust. We are watching out for wildfires. We're also watching out possibly for some snow blizzard conditions just the northwest. So we are watching out for a very, very significant day ahead. I do have finals tomorrow, so I'm not sure if I can stream this whole event all the way towards the very end, but I will try my best to stream as long as possible and as well in as great depth as possible. So again, in today's live stream, we're going to be going over the overall event. For those who are new to the overall event we're seeing right now, we currently have a moderate risk for wind, and as well, there is a chance, I do doubt the SPC will do it, but there is a chance we could possibly get a high risk, a wind driven high risk, which is absolutely extremely uncommon in general. But if we get it in December, I believe this will be the first high risk in December since 2002. But again, there's no guarantee that the national or that the SPC will pull this. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the overall summary of what is going on right now. So here's the overall strong line of storms we currently have right now. So very, very strong line, especially just basically ripping through the Omaha area as well. Going to be ripping through the now getting to the Iowa border. So again, we do have some pretty strong warning or some pretty strong stores across this area. We are as well watching out areas just to the basically to the east of Omaha. We do have some very, very strong rotation that's also going to be pretty interesting in general. But as well, we do have some confirmed reports of tornadoes a few hours ago, or at least a few minutes ago. We did actually get a confirmed tornado by the fire department, and a very, very fast moving system. But as well, the main threat out of this line is the wind. I mean, look at this. We have a gust of 92 miles an hour in Lancaster, Nebraska. We have a gust near Lincoln. Lincoln got absolutely hammered. We now have a 93 mile an hour report, gust 4 miles northwest of the Lincoln area. I mean, absolutely crazy numbers we are seeing as well. We did see 3-inch tree limbs broken. Power lines were also broken. We also do see here a report of roof blown off apartment buildings. So this is some very, very, very significant damage. I mean, this is going to be a very intense linear mode of storms for sure. There's no question. So today is going to be definitely a very, very big day. As you can tell, the storm's now moving very quickly. I mean, just a few frames ago, it was absolutely obliterating the areas near Skyline Valley where the overall Omaha radar site is, and now it's pushing quickly into all the way from portions of South Dakota down in towards Kansas. Look how far these warnings are stretching. As well, look at all of these wind reports. As well, we even have a filed wildfire report, I believe so. If you go, basically right now we have a report of a large hotspot indicated in the northeast Ellis County from satellite. So I mean, we're just obviously watching out for a lot. As well, we even have some snow squall warnings. I mean, everything is practically being felt today across this area. But here's the overall warnings. We actually have a new warning right now, currently, for the Underwood area in eastern Iowa. We do have a pretty apparent area of rotation. Again, with this forcing, with the very strong forcing we're seeing in the overall environment that these storms are moving into, we're going to be seeing some strong rotating cyclonic supercells within this embedded line. So here's the overall rotation. Like I said, near Joliet, we do have some very strong rotation there. You see these the winds going towards the radar, then you have the winds going away from the radar. But this is obviously some pretty intense rotation just to the east of Omaha. Again, we're going to be seeing many areas of some pretty intense rotation as well. In some areas, we're going to be seeing mainly these warnings that are just going to be including really strong straight line winds. But the main threat is going to be the downburst we're going to be seeing. The downdrafts are going to be absolutely crazy. But as well, we do have a few warnings up here, closer toward the northeastern portion of Nebraska, as well, closer to Sioux City, which is obviously in Iowa. If we look at the rotation there, we're just seeing some very, very, very strong winds. I mean, you could just see the very strong winds. I mean, we're seeing 67, 71 miles an hour, and we go over here and be seeing a little bit lower, but definitely some very strong winds here. You're seeing 97.3 miles an hour of these strong straight line winds, and then you see some pretty strong winds going the opposite direction towards that area of rotation down there. But if you look at the overall storms itself up here, definitely a more linear base and just really, really strong winds. This includes Sioux City. So look at the warning here. Tornado warning remains in effect until 4:45 Central Time for northwestern Woodbury, northern Dakota, and southeastern Union counties. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Dakota City or near Sioux City, moving northeast at 50 miles an hour. So definitely, these are going to be seeing some. We're going to be seeing some really, really fast-moving storms. I mean, if we look at this one down here near Silver City, this one here is going to be moving. Actually, this warning is actually expired. But if we look at this right here, this one's moving northeast at 85 miles an hour, and just look how this last report's confirmation there. We did see a tornado report, actual confirmed tornado. So there was actually some confirmed tornadoes near Douglas County and a portion there of eastern Nebraska. But like I said, now it's going to start moving into the main area. Here's the overall day one outlook for those who are new to this event. Again, this actually had a double upgrade. It was actually a slight in the very first day one outlook, I believe so, and then it just double upgraded towards a moderate risk. So large moderate risk, including portions of eastern Nebraska, which is where these storms are now moving out of, and then they're going to be moving into the heart of this moderate risk, which is going to be across portions of central eastern Iowa, portions there of southeastern Minnesota, and portions of far western Wisconsin. So this is a very, very, very uncommon area to see a moderate risk. I mean, moderate risk in December are already not extremely common, but having them in the Midwest is even less common. I mean, this would be something you typically see in maybe June or July or even August with the ratio season. But this is a December extremely intense QLCS. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen an amplified low jet in this time of the year whatsoever that actually produced severe weather like this. Like I said, this is a moderate driven wind risk, a 45% SIG, and let's just say we are definitely the letter or something that starts with the letter H, which would be high risk, is definitely not out of the possibility. I mean, we already have, I think, already 20 or 21 significant wind reports. I mean, we got 93 mile an hour gusts in Omaha. We have some really, really intense winds. So here's the overall 45 significant risk. So again, if you're in a hatch or greater probability of winds gust 65 knots or greater within 25 miles of a point, that's where you're going to get that significant report or that significant wind report. And we do have a very large area significant severe. I mean, there's such confidence with a massive wind event that this hatch as well includes not only the 15%, all 30, and obviously all the 45. So even all the 15%, including the majority of the 15%, including north central Wisconsin or down to Missouri, are included in this hatch risk for wind. So definitely very, very widespread area. Green going viral said, my grandma's sitting in the Omaha airport right now. Well, hopefully she is safe, and obviously it's a well-built structure, and this has practically already passed Omaha, so she should be fine already. But it definitely absolutely ripped through the airport in general. I'm not sure exactly where that is, but this definitely was very intense as it passed through Omaha. Again, Omaha, or at least a portion of it, is currently under a tornado warning right now. If you're on the Iowa side of Omaha, you're at least on that. But as well, we do now have we got a new report here, not from a previous warning here that was confirmed a few minutes ago. We now have that report there, or at least that confirmation on JR2 analyst. We do have a report, according to law enforcement from Woodbury, Iowa County, there is a tornado or at least there was a report of a tornado not too long ago, 2 miles south of Salix, and now we do have a warning, of course, that corresponds with this, which is now moving into the Iowa area. And look how fast this is moving in each frame, but this is moving northeast at 55 miles an hour, and this tornado warning includes central Woodbury County and west central Iowa, and as well as southeastern Plymouth County. So we do have a lot of warnings right now. I think we have 3 reports of tornadoes. Let's go. Let me show you guys the overall reports that we have so far, and there is a lot of reports. I mean, let me go ahead and refresh it. We already have 111 wind reports, and this has really yet to get to them, even halfway through the main event. So 5 tornado reports so far. I believe all are in Nebraska, and yes, they are. We have 1 3 miles west of Glendive. We have 1 mile south of Edgar, Columbus, 2 miles southeast of Humphrey, Platte, and then we have 1 for Beamer, which obviously we just saw not too long ago. And these all including Adams, Clay, Platte, and Cumming County, so all within a very similar area in East Central. So we do have, obviously, these are the 5 reports that we have so far, and then we have a ton of wind reports, and we have 25 significant wind reports already. And this, like I said, has yet to get to the main event. And you can just see how intense these winds are if you go to the College of DuPage True Color radar or True Color satellite imagery. Just look at that dust being carried into that low pressure. I mean, this is some very intense stuff you're seeing. Very intense gust, obviously blowing to the northeast. As you see that little jet, we do obviously have a pretty intense conveyor belt system. This is a typical conveyor belt system. There you see that really strong warm conveyor belt bringing in a lot of that moisture advection, a lot of that overall really intense moisture, and that's where you're going to be seeing that main line of storms, that QLCS, to obviously the along the front itself. So that's where we're going to be seeing that warm conveyor belt, and then you're going to be seeing that dry conveyor belt kind of trying to spin its way into this area of low pressure, and that's where you're seeing a lot of that dust. I mean, look at that dust. If you just go to Kansas, let's go to a little sub-region, and let's look at this part of Kansas here. You can just see the dust being absolutely just, oops, that is definitely not the area we want to watch out. That's definitely not the area we want to, this is not what we want. We want to get out of here. Not sure. Let's go back to, I guess, we're just going to have to go back. There we go. But let's now look at this sub-region, and we want to look here. And let's see if this actually takes us to Kansas and not Texas. But like I said, this is a very intense little jet. I mean, this is extremely intense. I mean, why does it keep going to Texas? I have no idea why it keeps going to Texas. But you can just see the dust. I mean, look at that. That is that has to show you how strong this low pressure is. I mean, you can see clear dust, like as if it was Saharan dust in the Atlantic. You can just see the inflow as well into the system. You can just see the inflow with that dust. So in Garden City and Dodge City, as well, and eventually now moving as this squall line pushes to the east or northeast quickly, you're going to see that dust to come in right after, because that's where that strongest wind's going to be, because obviously this QLCS will be kind of on the mouth, on the mouth of that little jet, and that's going to be seeing that's extreme downburst. But there you see the expansion of this cumulus cloud, overall expansion. So definitely seeing that apparent warm conveyor belt. Obviously seeing this is moving into a more favorable environment, so it's definitely expanding. You can just see this will be the cold conveyor belt kind of stretching out like this. That really deep cold air lying again. That's where you're seeing that snow on the backside of the system, and of course that warm conveyor belt kind of stretching out like this, dry conveyor belt. So this is a typical conveyor belt system. And this low pressure is obviously a very strong. I believe to already 988, something like that, or 984 millibars. Very strong low pressure. 6.5 out of 10. I was expecting more. Well, I'm not sure what else you would expect. I mean, we are obviously seeing a very intense system, and we already have 5 tornado reports. We already have 25 significant wind reports of over 80 miles an hour. So I'm not sure what else you would expect, because this event practically, it's just kind of unfolding. We still have all Iowa, as well as the main area to watch out for tornadoes will be Minnesota. And the fact that we already had this many reports of tornadoes, at least reported tornadoes, this early on, definitely pretty surprising. I mean, this whole event in general is very, very crazy. I mean, just like that, we now have a new squall warning for portions of east central Nebraska that just got severe weather earlier today. So some of these areas are going to go from an absolute mental QLCS to snow squall right after. This is a very unique storm system, and these tornado warnings are just coming in a lot. But let's now get a look at these overall severe thunderstorm warnings for portions of east central Iowa, or west central Iowa. So there actually has been multiple PDS severe thunderstorm warnings for severe thunderstorm warnings because of the winds. We're looking at 80-mile wind gusts here. These are destructive storms for southeast Iowa. This is going to be till 5:30 p.m. Central Time, so a lot of these warnings are going to be lasting at least over an hour. Extending from near Pisgah to near Hamburg, moving northeast at 70 miles an hour. And includes a lot of overall western Iowa again. As well, there actually already is a tree down and power line, resulting in outage. So we're starting to see these resemblance of this little jet make its way towards Iowa again. That's a new report. And now we have a new tornado warning here for the Carson, Oakland area. We are seeing some very, very intense rotation. I think this is our most intense rotation as of now. We are seeing some very, very strong rotation in the overall Henderson and Carson area, which is obviously in western Iowa. So this new tornado warning is including portions of northwestern Montgomery, northeastern Mills, and southeastern Pottawatomie County. This is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Was located near Emerson or 31 miles southwest of Atlantic, and this is going to be moving northeast at 80 miles an hour. So, either way, we're going to be seeing some pretty intense winds. You can just tell how intense these winds are. I mean, 77.5 miles an hour, 80.5, 80.2. I mean, we are seeing some really, really intense winds already with this. You can just tell how intense they are by kind of seeing those yellows kind of showing really strong winds that are going away from the radar. So we're seeing strong winds in practically in both directions, which is exactly why we're watching out for the overall significant severe weather. But yeah, we're gonna keep a close eye on a lot of these storms here. But let's go look at correlation coefficients and see what we have so far in store. So let's see if we have any correlation coefficient drops in any of these. Actually, we have a very, very large correlation coefficient drop just near Sioux City. This is a very, very interesting cell right here. We do have some a very, very strong correlation coefficient drop here right now across areas outside Sioux City. Again, this is near Sioux City. Very, very large debris. Again, we have to consider that this is also a massive QLCS, but we also have a history of this cell producing a tornado, or at least we have 2 reports already of tornadoes from this cell that went just to the southeast of Sioux City and South Sioux City. So this is obviously going to be something to keep a close eye on because of Brennan. And now we have a third report here. So this has definitely been pretty consistent when it comes to being on the ground. So we now have a new report of a tornado, and confirmed tornado. We now have a confirmed tornado right on time there. There we go. Confirmed tornado just to portions of southeast of South Dakota and just to the north of Sioux City. We do now have a report of tornado. So this is on the ground. So let's read the overall information. So a tornado warning remains in effect until 5 p.m. Central Time for north central Woodbury County and eastern Plymouth counties. At 4:33 Central Time, a confirmed tornado was located 3 miles northeast of Lawton or 15 miles southeast of Lamars, moving north at 60 miles an hour. Power flashes were noted with this tornado as well. Again, this is a weather spotter confirmed tornado as well. Again, if you are in these areas, though, if you are in central Woodbury or Plymouth counties, please take shelter immediately. I mean, this is a very, very large correlation coefficient drop. I mean, very, very deep correlation coefficient drop, to say the least. I mean, holy cow, we're seeing up to coverage around 55%, now getting up to here 34%, 72%. We are getting a really large correlation coefficient drop. This is very, very intense. So this is most likely, again, this is obviously reported on the ground. For those who are just joining in, we have a tornado report. which is basically 3 miles east of Lawton. So if you look at 3 miles east of Lawton, practically this is going to be just around this general area right here toward the Pearson area. That's where you see that really intense rotation, practically right here. It's kind of hard to tell because of how strong these winds are pushing, but there's the overall correlation coefficient drop. Basically, there it is right here. Very, very large areas of debris falling on the surface. If we actually look to see how far up this goes, let's see if we can see how far up this goes. Actually, we're going to have to use the other one. We're going to use this. So we're going to see how far up this correlation coefficient actually goes up. So we're going to have to find the where is this? Let's see here. Let's find how high up. But yeah, this is definitely a pretty significant, obviously, very significant debris ball for sure. There is absolutely just no question. But yeah, debris is most likely staying under 10,000 feet, but it is definitely really intense. That's why we have another debris ball down here just to the south near Anthon. This is also a very large, or not large, but this is also a pretty steep correlation coefficient drop in debris ball. So we are definitely watching out multiple areas, and we have another one down here. So we have another area of confirmed tornadoes. So we are having confirmed tornadoes all over the place. So we have another confirmed tornado down here near Persia, which is basically right, practically just not too far from the border of Nebraska. And this now includes southeastern Harrison County, Shelby County in Iowa. So this obviously includes Iowa. And at 4:37, so not too long ago, a tornado-producing storm was low in Omaha. So a lot of this is kind of just the northeast of Omaha. So thankfully, we didn't have anything too crazy except just really extreme winds for Omaha. But again, there is that debris ball right there near Persia. It's definitely a pretty well-defined debris ball. But if you just look and you go in a straight line all across this event, you're just seeing multiple debris balls all over the place. So this is going to be the big event here. I mean, if we're seeing a lot of debris balls like this already this early on, then this is definitely going to be a pretty significant day for sure. Again, we have a pretty large debris ball right now in place for the Hinton area, and this is going to be including portions just to the northeast of Sioux City. So if you're just near the overall areas near, let's say Remsen, Owens, Lamar's, I would recommend you guys take shelter immediately, because this is a pretty significant debris ball as well. Again, this is a confirmed tornado which is on the ground, which is, at least the last information we have is that it's 3 miles east of the the Clinton area, or actually the Lawton area. But again, there's that really intense rotation, which is kind of hard to tell based on how strong these winds are. But this is the latest correlation coefficient now, so it is seems as it's starting to weaken, and I mean, there's a possibility that it is lifting. But we have practically 4 reports, I believe, that came from the same cell of tornadoes. We have 3 in the same state. Here are the 3 that basically right on the border near Winnebago, and as well near Sloan is where we start to see these reports develop of this warning just near Salix. And now it's being practically going northeast at a pretty rapid rate. And now at this point it's towards this is going to be towards now Hinton, and as well closer towards Lawton. And now we have a new tornado warning here. This is practically just to the east of this confirmed tornado. And let's see what we have so far with this cell. Again, this part of the QLCS is where we're starting to see a lot of the action, but as we go now further towards the eastern Omaha, or east of Omaha, we're as well getting some pretty strong action. We just got a confirmed tornado down there, but we now have a large tornado warning, a new large tornado warning for Cherokee County, northeastern Woodbury County, eastern Plymouth County, northwestern Buena Vista County, southwestern Clay County, southern O'Brien, and as well western Ida County. And this is going to be until 5:15 Central Time at 4:42. A severe thunderstorms capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight line wind damage were located near Pearson, or 17 miles southwest of Cherokee, moving northeast at 75 miles an hour. And the Lawn Care and Outdoor Adventure says it's getting very gusty right in Chicago, and the peak winds aren't even near us. Yeah, this system is definitely outperforming, at least I'd say, The low pressure is outperforming. It's getting very strong and steeping at a pretty fast rate, allowing for the low jet as well to pretty much as well strengthen and amplify. But as well, we're starting to see some pretty intense turbulence all across this linear mode, which is whether it's either from the very intense straight line wind and as well the downburst, or whether it's from actual tornadoes. But if we look back at base velocity, this rotation here towards it looks like it's gusting out at this point. But as I say that, we get a confirmed tornado warning here. A confirmed tornado warning. So let's see what we have here. A tornado producing storm was located near Macedonia, or 21 miles southwest of Atlantic, moving northeast at 80 miles an hour. So hazard is a damaging tornado. Again, this is a radar confirmed tornado. And this is not too far from Des Moines. So if you're in Des Moines, I would recommend you guys put your seatbelts on, metaphorically, because it is slowly inching towards the area. And again, these warnings, these severe warnings are also getting pretty much closer. They're now near Guthrie, they're near Creston area now as well, getting towards closer Jefferson. So if you're in the Kansas City, if you're in St. Joseph, all these big cities are kind of to the east, you guys might want to get your hats ready, because these storms are rolling in fast. It went from yellow to dark gray real fast, and it just passed over me. Well, yeah, this is a really fast moving storm, and we're going to be seeing some pretty some of these storms are moving northeast at 85 miles an hour. Thankfully, it's going to be fast moving, because we won't be seeing extreme flash flooding, because obviously this is bringing in some really intense rain. But also the reason why they're moving so fast is because the low jet is also moving very, very quickly. So, but again, we do have multiple PDS severe thunderstorm warnings all across this area. Again, these are destructive storms for west central Iowa. We do have, again, looking at damaging for 80-mile wind gusts for portions there of Crawford and Carroll counties as well. We go further southward towards Missouri. We do also have, these are destructive storms for far northwestern Missouri. Again, another PDS. Looking at moving northeast, and these are moving northeast at 90 miles an hour. That's absolutely crazy. Gonna be seeing some wind threats of 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and as well nickel-sized hail. So we're gonna be watching out for mobile homes will be heavily damaged. Think about it. It's gonna be like a Category 1 inland. It's gonna be like an inland Category 1, almost inland Category 2. But this is absolutely crazy. We are having warnings all over the place. Again, this is yet to get to the peak of the overall area itself. This is yet to arrive to the peak of the conditions. As we continue, the thermals will start to, of course, saturate furthermore, inhibiting, or at least not inhibiting, but allowing for a better environment for some pretty intense downdrafts, as well as some really intense gust fronts. That's what we're going to be seeing here. Some pretty intense gust fronts. That's exactly what we're seeing here along. But as well, we're starting to see some embedded tornadoes. So we go back towards CC, which is going to kind of be our big friend today, because base velocity is going to definitely be a pain to handle. But now that kind of large debris ball, which is near Hinton, or that was just to the northeast of Sioux City, has now kind of disappeared. Sioux City is now also no longer in a tornado warning, but you guys are going to have to deal with some really strong winds later tonight as the storm is moving out. But you can just kind of tell where this storm is in general. You can just tell where this warm conveyor belt is. You can just tell. So there's its warm conveyor belt, and you're seeing a lot of this really strong really strong convergence, as well as some really strong moisture advection kind of just being pushed along. And that's what we're going to be seeing, this really dry condition like we saw with the radar. If we go back to the College of DuPage, that's where you see this is where we're going to be seeing that really strong and kind of really thick dust. We saw some dust storms earlier this morning along Colorado near the Boulder area, and I believe near Aurora, Colorado. We did have a severe thunderstorm warning that also included snow. But here it is. Look at that. Just look at that very, very intense dust, which is going to be basically just to the east, to the west, behind this main storm. So as these winds pick up along this QLCS, right after, you're going to be seeing the strongest winds moving, as well as some dust. So Kansas City, for example, Topeka, Kansas, and Lincoln as well is pretty much experiencing as well some pretty insane dust. But yeah, this is a really intense moving storm. There you see this cloud cover is really getting thicker, as well as seeing some more fluffy clouds on radar, or at least on satellite. So this is definitely a really interesting scenario here. But let's know. I'm gonna actually try to find some aerial cameras of Lincoln, so you guys can get a overall idea of the overall dust. So I'm gonna see if I can get a Lincoln, Nebraska. If I can get a Lincoln, Nebraska live camera, so you guys can see the dust. Because I'm not sure if you guys understand how significant this is. I mean, this is a really crazy dust. As well, we have a what is this? Extreme risk of wildfires, or at least tornado. So it's or not tornado, sorry, of wildfires, and just overall fire danger is really high across the areas across Kansas, Texas, New Mexico. We're gonna be seeing that drier conditions, while here to the east we're gonna be seeing some really wet conditions and really the main front moving. But if you're near Des Moines, as well if you're near Kansas City, which is practically about to be in a severe thunderstorm warning, you guys are also going to be seeing some pretty intense winds. If you look at this, we have tree falling already near Overland Park, already 60, what is this, a 63-mile report, gusts near Lee's Summit. We have a 63 near Lindsworth, or near Leesworth. But we're already seeing these winds definitely making their presence to Kansas City, and has yet to even get there, really, at least the QLCS. But look at this, we had a 82-mile report there near Surgeon. But I want to go ahead and show you guys here. Let me show you guys Salina, Kansas. I mean, look at this webcam. This is, I mean, it looks like there's fog, but this is indeed not fog. I'm about to pull out the camera very quickly here. Let's see if I can get a full camera view. But yeah, here's a look at, this is a look at Salina. Oops, that's not Salina. I'm not sure why that just popped up. Gonna go back. There we go. Here's a look at Seward, Nebraska. I mean, if we play this, you can just see how nasty these conditions are right here. I mean, this is not fog. This is dust. This is dust, and we're gonna do that later. But I mean, look at this near Concordia. Concordia. This also looks like fog, but this is all dust. This is all dust. I mean, this is extremely crazy what's happening right now. We have such strong winds on the surface of up to 80 to 90 miles an hour that we're practically seeing dust picked up in areas that there shouldn't be dust picked up in. Okay, that's kind of an overall look at the overall cameras. Again, if you saw, if we can probably look at maybe Kansas City, we can get a live camera there, Kansas City, what the conditions are like there over there. Because again, Kansas City is about to get hit by the very bottom of this, QLCS. But here's a look at I think we're about to get the Kansas City webcam to load for us. But as we wait for that, we're gonna go back to GR2 analyst and see what's going on here. So we go back to base velocity, see what we have so far. So as of now, we main area we're gonna be watching out for is the Atlantic area, and as well near Lewis and western Iowa. A confirmed tornado was located 8 miles northwest of Griswold, or 12 miles west of Atlantic, Iowa, moving northeast at 80 miles an hour. Now, this one's going to be moving very quickly. I mean, this is moving northeast at 80 miles an hour. I mean, holy cow, that's absolutely crazy. 80 miles an hour. And again, this is a confirmed tornado 8 miles northwest of Griswold. So if you kind of look where Griswold is, it's going to be practically right here. So if you look at CC, here's the overall debris ball. So it's going to be practically to the northeast of Griswold. And here's here's the overall debris in general. That's where you see that debris. We're seeing a huge line of debris. And that is most likely from the really strong damaging winds again. If we have some very weak homes or any loose objects that are quite large, whether it's fences or anything like that, we're gonna be picking up a lot of this debris along the line. As we have some debris near Portsmouth as well. Look at this. We have a tornado thunderstorm which prompted the warning has moved out of the area. But we do have a debris ball here near Portsmouth. This is also pretty interesting. This has now been pretty consistent since the Persia area, like I was looking at earlier on. So we have multiple areas to keep a very close eye on, to say the least, for tornadoes. Like right now near Lamar's and Remsen, that general area near Sioux City to the northeast is becoming a little bit less. When it comes to correlation coefficient. Looks like a lot of that is starting to really gust out based on base velocity. If we look at that, it seems like it's really starting to really gust out across this area. We're seeing a lot less winds that are going away from the radar, or at least towards the radar. But we now look at Lewis and Atlantic again. We are starting to see an area of some pretty intense rotation towards the areas northeast of Griswold. It's going to be a little bit towards the Lewis area near Atlantic. That's going to be the main area to watch out for. And we now have a new tornado warning. Speaking of that, this is a very large warning. It's getting very, very close to Des Moines. So it's going to be interesting if we get anything for downtown Des Moines. So like I said, if you're in Des Moines, if you're to the west of Des Moines, I would also recommend you guys do get situated, because this is going to be a very fast moving storm. Like I said, moving northeast at 80 miles an hour. So if you kind of do the math, I don't even think this is within 80 miles away from Des Moines. So practically, do the math. This will be in your backyard if you're in Des Moines, or anything anywhere near Des Moines. This will be in your backyard within the next less than the next hour or so. But we now have a new tornado warning here, which is now near just outside the Guthrie area. It does include the Audubon area, Hamlin area, X area, and Brighton, as well includes Gas, Anita, Atlantic, and Lewis. Again, extension to your tornado warning. So a tornado warning for Cass County, southwestern Guthrie, Audubon, and northwest Adair County until 5:45 Central Time. At 4:52, so not too long ago, a few minutes ago, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Atlantic, moving northeast at 75 miles an hour. So definitely very, very intense. Very intense as well. We're going to be watching at the likelihood for an upcoming tornado, as it's definitely growing some confidence here in CC. We are seeing a pretty apparent CC drop right towards, I believe this is going to be the main CC drop for this current tornado, which is obviously to the northeast of Griswold, is now making its way to the north of Atlantic. So we read that description once again. Again, we do have a tornado, or confirmed tornado was located 8 miles northwest of Griswold, or 12 miles west of Atlantic. But again, this was practically 11 minutes ago, and considering how fast this is moving, within 1 minute, this could already be like practically 10 miles, or actually not 10 miles, within practically 10 minutes is, probably like, maybe 10 miles already from its previous location. So this is a very fast moving system. But again, we're going to be definitely keeping a very, very close eye on this. Let's now get a quick look now at the overall reports, because like I said, we already, last time I checked, we had 25 significant wind reports. And let's see what we have now. So we're going to go out of this map, or get out of this webcam real quick. Here's a look at Kansas City right now. Again, it is dark in that general area, but basically further east or further west we're going, you can kind of tell. But here's our time lapse. But you can kind of tell in that last frame we are seeing that kind of cloud cover and that really dense dust being seen to the west, which is basically right here. But look at the overall storm reports. Last time I checked, it was 111 wind reports. Now it is at 136. And now we have 8 tornado reports. And we now have 2 for Iowa, 2 additional reports for Iowa. So that's obviously pretty interesting. Now we're getting a lot more reports. But again, we do also have a new one for the we do have a new report as well for Nebraska. So we're now up to 8 tornado reports, and we're now up to 136 wind reports, and now 31 significant reports. And last time I checked a few minutes ago, it was 25. So we are increasing at a pretty significant rate here. I mean, if you can just kind of overall take a very brief look, you can just see 1-inch tree limbs broken. Highway 287 is closed from Springfield to Whitley due to crashes and power lines down. I mean, this is some really intense stuff here. I mean, look at this. Estimated 65 minor winds and or windows blown out of vehicles on Main Street. 2 to 4 miles east of Polk, we have Highway 66. There's damage reported. I mean, a lot of 3-inch tree limbs broken. 3-inch tree limbs broken. Hail was nickel size as well. We're starting to see some hail. 2 8-inch limbs are down. That is really intense. 8-inch. Wind gusts up to 76 along with penny-sized hail. I mean, we can go on and on and on about these reports, and we can go ahead and see how much we get in the next few minutes. So we already have 145 reports, and we are yet to get to the worst of this. But you can just see how intense this overall line is. As of now, we don't have anything too new as of warning-wise. So again, these severe thunderstorm warnings will most likely get pretty close to Iowa. But now that we have nothing too new as of now, I'm going to take advantage of this and now look at the latest mesoscale discussion. So we have 2 mesoscale discussions for severe weather. We do have a new, or at least a newest one now for the areas of the east of this main severe weather, or the east of kind of toward the overnight threat. So as this obviously quickly makes its way towards throughout Iowa, then it's going to make its way towards northeast Iowa, Wisconsin, and then later eventually towards Minnesota. So watch likely, widespread damaging winds and with embedded tornadoes are likely. So we're going to be seeing some pretty favorable conditions across the northeast Iowa area. And there's general area that is pretty favorable for tornadoes, especially with some really good decent instability there. But again, we have the overall destabilization expected this evening. They see the really strong wind vectors. We're going to be seeing up to practically 4 lines. So we're going to be seeing up to 80 knots in some of these areas. The probability of a watch is 95%. A line of storms will continue to produce significant wind damage and also may produce several tornadoes as it rapidly moves across Iowa, southern Minnesota, and into southwest Wisconsin. Again, the slight risk is still in place all the way from Oklahoma towards Wisconsin. But yeah, we actually do have an emergency update, I believe. So we have an emergency update for the day 1 outlook. Let's go see what it does have. And this is not the emergency update. We have to refresh our storm prediction center because there is a new day 1 outlook. But this is a emergency update because obviously there's not a outlook that comes out at 6 o'clock here. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that up. I'm not sure if it hasn't reloaded yet, but I know there has been an emergency update. Because I'm seeing it being sent to me actually. But we have a new update. It's still a moderate risk. It's not a high risk, but they did do an emergency update. But it's very odd that they would do an emergency update and it's not a high risk because personally, this is personally a high risk worthy. This is high risk worthy. I mean, we already have nearly 30 significant severe winds, and this is yet to go through the worst, which is Iowa, practically Minnesota, and then of course we can't forget about Wisconsin. But yeah, this is definitely not the latest day 1 outlook. So we're gonna have to wait for the latest one because it has not come out on the actual website itself. So we're gonna have to wait for that. But I can show you guys the overall image of what it looks like. So I'm gonna go back to GR2 and I'll pull up the image a little bit later on. But again, we are going to be waiting a few seconds for the latest day 1. Let me go ahead and save the image so you guys can see the overall day 1 outlook because it's not pulling up in it. But they have posted it on Twitter. So I'm going to go ahead and save that for you guys. So let me go ahead and open it for you guys. Excuse my Bandicam files, but let me go ahead and open this for you. So this is the overall, this is the latest day 1 outlook. Again, this is an emergency update. So zoom in. Here's the latest outlook. So this moderate risk is from the very edge there of Nebraska all the way down to Wisconsin. So it's very similar in where the coverage is. But again, they did do an emergency update, yet it's still not a high risk. I'm not sure why they would do an emergency update and it not be high. Typically with an emergency update, you have at least an increase in some probability, at least with something, whether it's tornado, wind, or with hail. But here's the overall look, though. Again, you do have this moderate risk. Now, for Rochester, portions of southeast Minnesota, the Twin Cities is practically in the border of slight and enhanced. And then, of course, this moderate continues into portions of west central Wisconsin, includes much of Iowa in general, and includes the Waterloo area. It does just to the north of portions of Des Moines, and it does include much of the overall west and central portion of Iowa. And this now enhanced goes all the way down towards the Kansas City metro area. So that's kind of the latest day one outlook. I'm not sure if they refreshed it. But here's the overall look at what we're seeing right now. We do have a few tornado warnings are now being issued closer towards the Kansas City area. I'll get a close look on that slightly later on, but still looking at these cells here very closely as they get pretty close to Des Moines. As of now, I'm not seeing any impressive coalition coefficient drops, but there are a few near Bray. And again, some of these coalition coefficient drops are related toward the wind damage and not necessarily tornadic. But again, we're going to keep a very close eye on these Iowa cells as they continue to push their way to the east. Hello, Wintergreen. How are you doing? I'm glad you joined the stream here. I really appreciate it. Again, be sure to share the stream again. We want as many people as possible to be noticed about the severe weather in general. So again, please share, like, and as well overall subscribe if you are new to the channel. I really would appreciate it. I am trying to get more involved with live streaming. So again, if you have not already done so, if you like my overall presentation for streaming, I'd also consider you guys subscribe. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the latest power outages map. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the latest power outages. So let me go ahead and pull up that website for you guys, because let's just say there is going to be a lot of power outages between the wind damage, between everything practically. I mean, with the wind damage, the QLCS damage. So let me go ahead and pull up that website, and it's definitely, we're going to be seeing a lot of people without power across a lot of areas between Iowa, already a lot without power now, Nebraska, even a lot without power as far west is Colorado, where we did see this event initially develop earlier on. I think our first severe thunderstorm warning of the day was actually for the Colorado area, even though they actually were only under a marginal. But here's the overall power outage map. So as you guys, like I said, right, it goes as far west as practically New Mexico. Here's the overall map of all the power outages, and look at how many states have at least 10,000 power outages all across these areas. Obviously, we do have that because of mainly Missouri here, and Kentucky is obviously because of the quad outbreak, but Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Oklahoma, all these areas are because of this extreme low jet. Notice how a lot of these states aren't in the main severe weather event, nor are they really in one, like Colorado, New Mexico, Oklahoma. Obviously, they have a slight risk, but it's because this low jet is so strong. I mean, again, it's not just for the severe weather areas. I mean, this low jet is bringing strong winds all the way down to Texas, and that's why we do have those high wind warnings and high wind watches and wind advisories all across the United States. But right now, we have practically 5,000 without power there in Colorado. But I mean, look at this. Main areas where we do have no power, or where we do have the majority without power, is near Fremont County. Again, actually, that's a little bit closer to where that first severe thunderstorm warning was. As well, we do have a large area, I believe 1/6 without power near Pueblo, as well, we do have nearly almost half without power near Fremont. But a little bit less power outages there near the Denver and Colorado Springs area. But as well, we're going to start seeing this rise in power outages near Kansas. We do have 75, almost 76,000 without power here across Kansas. And look at this, a lot of majorities across the western area where these strongest winds have now already made their way. But notice how we're going to start getting a little bit more now to the northeast and the east central portion. Because as this front moves in, we're going to be seeing the strongest winds moving as well. And this gust front and the overall very strong little jet's going to be noticeable. But Ellis County, 9,000 out of their 12,000 are without power. The 1,500 out of the 2,000 without power in Wichita County. A lot of these counties have at least 30% without power. As well, we do have practically getting close to nearly half of that power near Pottawatomie County there in Kansas. And closer to the Kansas City Metro, we only have a few hundred without power, but that will most likely definitely increase. But the most areas I'd say to really watch out for power outages is going to be Iowa, and probably Kansas, and as well Nebraska, because I would say Minnesota, but it's not the heart that this really won't go to the Twin Cities. But again, there's going to be a lot of without power. I think Iowa's definitely probably going to get hit the hardest when it comes to power outages, because we already have a county of close to 60% without power, and that's Mills County, and it's just getting started across Iowa, and we're already seeing this making its way. And again, this is include the majority of Iowa, the state in general, while Nebraska, a lot of those power outages are going to be just coming in from kind of the backside where that general low jet is. While Iowa is going to be getting practically almost the whole state's going to be getting hit by the QLCS wind threat, and not just the random low jet dry wind, as well as trying to get a 1/3 without power near Fremont, Iowa. I mean, we're gonna start seeing a lot more, just a lot more power outages being visible across this area. But I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna keep that so we can use it a little bit later on. But here's the overall report of that tornado we saw in Atlantic not too long ago. We had a confirmed tornado that was confirmed to 1 mile northwest of Atlantic near Cass, Iowa. But now Des Moines is now under a severe thunderstorm warning. So look how quick it has pushed out of Iowa or Nebraska. Just a few frames ago, it was in Nebraska City, Omaha, Lincoln, and now it's all the way getting close to Des Moines. Des Moines is now under a severe thunderstorm warning. This is, I believe this is not, I believe this is a PDS 20. I believe this is a PDS severe thunderstorm warning for Des Moines. Looking at these are destructive storms for central Iowa. Looking at 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and these are going to be moving east at 80 miles an hour. So just within a few minutes, we're going to start to seeing this knocking on your doorstep in Des Moines. So if you're in Des Moines or anywhere near Des Moines, specifically on the western side, I would recommend you guys keep a very, very close eye on that, because this is definitely going to be right there within a good maybe 15-20 minute time frame. So definitely be careful if you're in Iowa, because specifically the eastern portion, because this is definitely not going to be fun whatsoever, to say the least. But as we now continue to keep a close eye on Iowa, some counties you're gonna, maybe I mentioned that if you are in these areas or near these counties, I would recommend you guys definitely get your safe spot ready, because although there's not a huge tornado threat with this portion right now, they're still going to be seeing really strong gusts up to 80 miles an hour. So that 80 miles an hour is still really strong, so you don't want to have to worry about any debris going into your house or anything like that, because believe it or not, this is going to be that strong to the point where we can see debris flown into houses. I mean, we saw a report earlier in, what was it, Nebraska, at the very beginning of my stream, where there's a roof blown off of a house, at least a report. So you cannot underestimate the power of a QLCS. But yeah, this is definitely a pretty significant upcoming storm for the Des Moines metro area. And as we continue, these warnings are as well continuing to follow this QLCS. We now have a new tornado warning as well for portions of northwestern Iowa. This includes the Sioux Rapids area, Buena Vista, Storm Lake. So this tornado warning includes Cherokee County, Buena Vista County, and southeastern Clay County. And this is going to be moving at northeast at 80 miles an hour. And again, there is a hazard of tornado, as there's been in the case of rotation. But again, it's going to be very hard to spot this main rotation because of how strong these straight line winds are going to be. But here's the overall debris. So you kind of see a spotted areas of some pretty overall large debris in general. And again, some of these are going to be wind related. But yeah, keep it a very, very close eye on some of these areas. But let's now look at any other debris in some of these cells. Actually, we have a pretty strong debris ball near the Hamlin area. That's definitely something to keep a close eye on. So if you're near the Bayard area, Bagley area, Yale, Guthrie, definitely keep your eyes open on this cell, because this does have some decent rotation as well. It's pretty strong. Mesocyclone definitely has some good rotation to it, and we do have a debris ball, so this is definitely something you want to keep a close eye on if you're looking at that. But definitely keep a close eye on that. Again, that's going to be just to the east of Guthrie, and if we kind of look at 0.9, even the higher tilt, it's still there at 1.3 tilts, so definitely pretty interesting. But let's now see if this one would work for us, because I know last time this didn't work. If we can look at this debris, we definitely see some good debris here. Let me actually get a little more specific zoom here. So let's look at the debris. So this debris is going up to around 10,000 feet here. It's very intense debris there at 10,000 feet for sure. So there's definitely some really strong debris aloft up to 10,000, nearly 50,000, 15,000 feet. So definitely keep a very, very, very close eye on that. Yeah, gonna be seeing just nearly 20,000 feet, and if we continue to swing, we're gonna get even higher. Gonna get towards 15,000 feet, and if we kind of go a little bit higher, yeah, look at that. This is definitely some really intense debris there. Up near the overall area, just near Audubon, that's gonna be east of Audubon. Definitely some really intense debris going on there as well. I do have a look at. I do have a look here at, I believe, a Des Moines webcam, or at least Earth cam, whatever. So I'm going to also pull this up so you guys can get a look at that eventually throughout the video. But definitely look at that, though. That's a really pretty intense aloft of up to 15,000 feet of debris. So definitely watching out for this cell near Audubon and Hamilton, or Hamlin, sorry, not Hamilton, but Hamlin. So if you are near the Bayard area, or Scranton, or just outside Guthrie, you guys definitely want to keep a very, very close eye on this, because this is definitely a pretty intense debris ball. Again, we do now have again a tornado warning for these areas ahead of the cell. So we're seeing a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 3 miles east of Audubon. Like I said, if you're east of Audubon, definitely keep a close eye on that, and definitely I would recommend you guys take shelter immediately, because there is a pretty large debris ball lofting 15,000 feet, and it's moving northeast at 70 miles an hour. So radar indicated rotation. So we go back to base velocity. There is definitely some rotation being seen there, for sure. But also I'm gonna bring them to my hail icons visible. But yeah, let's go ahead and look back at the base reflectivity. So here's this really large cell. Again, it's gonna be moving towards the Coon Rapids, Bayard area. If we look back at CC, there's that CC. It's really seeing some pretty intense debris being seen here across this area. Going to be seeing as low as what here, 34%, pretty low number there. Again, going to be seeing some pretty intense debris being alofted for sure. Right there, just to the east of Audubon, so we're going to be seeing that most intense debris. So again, if this does stay consistent, I would definitely keep a very, very close eye on it for sure. I think there is also a picture of debris here. I think there's a picture of debris. So let me go ahead and show you guys this. There is a picture of debris. I believe this is actually in Iowa, or actually not Iowa. I believe this is near Omaha metro area. So while that picture loads for you guys, I'm gonna continue to show you guys debris, because let's see how high this debris lofts now. Let's see how high it goes up. Let's see how high this debris is going now. So let's there we go. Oops, that's not what we want. There we go. So let's do that. So CC, so still remaining at around 10,000. If we go a little bit towards the east of Audubon, we're going to be seeing some debris getting up to as high as, again, 15,000 feet. But if we go swing right here, that's where the most intense and more thick debris is being alofted right there, just like I said, to the east of Audubon. So here's where this main area of debris is being seen. Going to be seeing also some light debris as high as 20,000 feet there. You see that little blue color, but the majority of it is staying under 13,000 feet, I'd say. We go over a large view of this cell. Again, here's really high low base system there at 10,000 feet. We kind of look at the overall structure of it. Again, definitely some pretty intense rainfall on the mouth of this system itself. But if we kind of minimize, let's see here. Oops, that we don't have time for that. We just have any reported tornado warning. There we go. Oops, that's not what I want. So we have a reported tornado warning now. So let's say we have, this is going to be to the northwest of Des Moines. Tornado producing storm was located 7 miles northwest of Guthrie Center, moving northeast at 85 miles an hour. So now it's moving northeast at 85 miles an hour. So this is continuing to move at a quicker rate. So again, this is northwest of Guthrie Center, and there it is right there. There is that cell just out to the northwest of Guthrie Center. There is a debris ball. Again, that is where we do have a reported tornado on the ground. So again, if you are in the areas near Ripley, Jamaica, Yale, Dawson, Perry, just outside Des Moines, I would recommend you guys take shelter immediately, because again, there is a tornado on the ground, as well as some pretty tight rotation going on there, as well as some debris being lofted as high as 10,000 feet. Let me go ahead and show you guys the debris here. So looks like a top level of a house on Beaver Lake is gone. So this is from the overall strong winds. Absolutely crazy. And this is south of Plattsmouth, Nebraska. So it's just outside the Omaha area. And this is actually here in Main Street in Elkhart. This was obviously 2-3 hours ago, but this just shows you how intense these conditions were. I mean, look at that. This video is from Jared, if you guys want credit, but this is in Kansas. It looks like a dust bowl. I mean, that is absolutely crazy how intense those winds are. That's exactly what it's gonna be like after this moves out. And here's a look at the winds here. We heard reports of 93 miles an hour near the Lincoln Airport. And here it was. This is a report an hour ago, practically near the Omaha Airport. This is how intense it got there. Absolutely crazy, though. I mean, this is, again, going to continue to be felt across this area. If you guys want the overall structure of the storm, there you see the line of severe storms embedded with tornadoes along the warm conveyor belt. They're going to be seeing those wildfires across portions there of Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, and southern Kansas. And then there we see these snow squalls with that cold conveyor belt. And then, of course, we have that really strong dust storm just absolutely invading portions of the western half of Kansas. And we're going to get more pictures here. Another picture, I believe this is of a dust storm earlier this morning. Again, we're going to continue to see a lot of things continue to go on. But, yeah, here's the overall damage we're seeing here. I mean, you can just see the top of the house just get absolutely leveled. But we're going to continue to keep a close eye on. But, again, the main area watching out right now is going to be the northwest of the Guthrie Center. There's this debris ball. If we actually take a quick look here at how... Oops, that's not what we want. Sometimes I have GR2 and I still mix this up. So, let's now look at how widespread this debris is. This debris, again, is staying, again, to the east of, northwest of Guthrie Center, and, of course, to the east of the Audubon area. But look how high this debris is swinging. This debris is going pretty darn high, and it's pretty dense, still at, again, 10,000 feet. In some cases, it's getting as high as 20,000 feet. So, definitely keep a very close eye on that. Weatherman often... of the North 154 said, bracing for massive wind gusts. Well, I'm assuming you're somewhere in the path of Iowa or Minnesota based on your name. So, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are definitely in the path, if I am correct, for some really, really strong winds for sure. And then we see it here getting as high as nearly 15,000, nearly 16,000 feet debris just to the northwest of Guthrie Center. So, if you are anywhere... Oh, we got a massive increase here in that debris right now. So we have a more visible spot of this debris. So let's get another look at this debris. And this debris is going very, very high here. But I actually want to get a look at this to the northwest of Guthrie Center. Again, this is going as high as practically 15,000 feet. And if we get a more detailed look, let's see if I get a more detailed look. I mean, look at that CC. If I can even swing, I'm not sure if I even can, but 10,000, nearly 15,000 feet here. That's what we're talking about. Look how dense it gets under 10,000 feet, though. That's some pretty darn intense debris going on down there below 10,000 feet. So definitely not super duper intense, but again, we are still seeing some pretty intense signature as well, getting as high nearly 17,000 feet. We go back right there, getting very close to 20,000 feet. So we are definitely seeing a pretty strong storm ahead of this. I mean, again, there is some pretty apparent debris going on to the northwest of Guthrie. So if you are anywhere in this tornado warning, including Jamaica, Ripley, Perry, Yale, please take shelter immediately. As well, near Jefferson and Green, I would also recommend you guys to take shelter immediately. You guys are also under a tornado warning. What is that weather software called? This is actually GR2 Analyst. I really do recommend it. It is definitely worth the money. But again, if we look at the overall areas to watch out for, and we're looking at for the overall areas near Bayer, Bagley, you guys are likely getting impacted by some really, really strong debris going on here. We have a lot going on here for eastern Iowa. I mean, Des Moines now under a PDS severe thunderstorm warning. Uh, Practically Kansas City is about to be under a severe thunderstorm warning. And this is not a PDS one though, but it does include a threat. Looking at 70 mile-an-hour wind gusts. I mean, we did have reports of over 90 across Kansas earlier near Salina. Actually, downtown got a gust of 91 miles an hour. It was obviously non-thunderstorm related. We also got a report here of 4-inch hail. Softball size hail reported a mile marker 137 off I-35 near the Emporia area. So we actually did get some pretty severe hail as well with this. But right now, it's definitely increasing in concern if you're near the Bayard area, anywhere towards the Bagley general vicinity. So we look at the counties that I'm looking for, or looking at. This would include portions of northwestern Dallas County, northwestern Adair County, as well as portions there of Guthrie and Boone County. So definitely would recommend you guys keep a very, very, very close eye on that. So if you're in any of those counties I just mentioned, I would recommend you guys do take shelter immediately. Definitely would recommend you guys to take shelter immediately because there is apparent debris. As we do have near Adair, EM reports of 80 plus mile-an-hour winds, zero visibility south of Adair. So Adair, we're seeing some really, really nasty conditions. You can just tell. Look at that strong front of winds right there going towards radar. That's absolutely crazy. And maybe we should probably switch to Moy. That'd probably be the best decision. So we're going to have to change radar sites very quickly because how fast this is moving here. So we're going to go all the way to IA, which is right here, Des Moines. So we're going to go to the Des Moines area. So we can get a better look at that because this is moving so fast that we just have to change radar sites just like that. So again, we're going to be using the Des Moines radar site at least for now, and then eventually we'll probably have to use the Minneapolis or somewhere around that general area because we don't have anywhere else in Iowa except for the quad area, which I believe is somewhere up here. But we're gonna have to, while this loads for us, I'm gonna show you guys the reports. Again, this is the Twitter damage that we saw. Let me go ahead and refresh if we can get anything new on this. If there's any new information or new Twitter. But again, I'm gonna continue to keep a very, very, very close eye. Seems like as Twitter just not want to load for me. For some reason, when I stream, my Wi-Fi does not like working. But again, we don't have any. I don't think we have anything new. These are a few hours old. Maybe if I look up photos or something like that. But let's now look at the overall severe weather reports and how many reports we have as of now. So last time I checked, it was 131. And now it's 156. We now have 34 significant wind reports. And we now are up to 20 reports. We now have a lot more for Iowa. Our latest one is including the Woodbury County. So we have 3 reports now for Woodbury County. And this is now obviously going to be 3 miles northeast of Lawton. That's the one we were just looking at not too long ago. And for some reason, this is just not want to load for us. Very, very, very stubborn. So we will get back to that a little bit later. But if you guys want to see the satellite, or actually let's get an update here on the power outages and see how many power outages we now have, because we had a lot going on there in Iowa, or at least southwestern Iowa. So let's see if we have any updates on that, because a lot of the counties, at least that we had power outages, were getting up to as high as 30 to 50% without power. So let's see what we have for that. So let's see what we have so far. So Colorado is now actually, people are now getting back power. We're just at 109,000. Now it's back to 98,000. And then more people are now losing power across Iowa. So if we look at the counties, we're going to start seeing a lot of these western counties start to get bombarded with these power outages. So it's definitely not going to be fun for Iowa if you're in that general portion of the state, because it is practically knocking at your doorstep. So definitely would recommend you guys do keep a close eye on it. Look at the massive amount now additionally without power. It's now practically including almost all the western bordering counties. It was just initially 2 or 3 that when we first looked. So now near Mills County, we do have nearly above 50% without power. 4,000 tracts without power now, including Fremont and Page are now practically just nearly 30 to 35% without power. And then we have a few are near Crawford, Shelby, Audubon, Potawatomi are also starting to get without power. We now have 6,000 without power in Potawatomi, and we're gonna get a few more without power as we get closer to Des Moines. But definitely keep a very close eye if you are in that general area. As well in Nebraska, we have 33,000 without power. That's gonna be closer to the southeastern and central portion of the state. Because obviously you're seeing that really extreme dust, but you see a lot of these counties are actually out. But there it is, near Sanders County, nearly almost 70% without power, and then a majority there near Omaha. Obviously, you're gonna be seeing a higher population near Washington County. Half of those people in Washington County are without power. About Sarpy County, I believe, which is actually where we have Omaha, only 4,000 without power, 5,000 in Cass, and then we have a little bit more without power across the far southeastern counties. So notice how we're seeing a trend here of these areas without power and the overall system itself. So let's see. All right, Des Moines final loaded for us. So let's see. This is definitely getting really close to the Des Moines area. See, and this is a massive, holy cow, that's a massive debris ball near Bayard. That is absolutely mental. We are seeing absolutely crazy debris ball near Bayard. That is absolutely mental. Look at that. That's a massive debris ball, though. Holy cow. That's practically matching that massive. Look at that. Extremely intense winds. I mean, look at that. That is some really intense winds. I mean, you just see just the gust front pushing now into Panora. I mean, it is about to get really crazy across these areas. Yeah, it's definitely going to be really intense for western Iowa very soon here. So again, if you are in the overall areas near Scranton, we are starting to see you can just see the spotted areas of rotation here. This is typically what you see. We have 3 areas already with rotation in a single image. We have one near Cooper, one basically between just to the east of Scranton, and one basically right on Scranton. So we have kind of basically 3 areas of rotation, this general banding in general. So if you're in the Farland, Green, Jefferson area, I would definitely recommend you guys do keep a very close eye on it. You guys are in a warning, so take shelter, but we do have a lot of debris all across this main area. So we're seeing definitely some extreme debris aloft, and let's see how high it goes, because it looks like it goes pretty high in general, but let's see how high it goes. So we're going to be seeing just a general line. Actually, I want to do a better line than that. I want to go straight all across this debris. So let's see how widespread the debris is. I mean, there you see one right there towards 10,000, but we want to get towards the main circle here. So we're going to kind of make its way right here, and there you can kind of tell a lot of debris being lofted just under 10,000 feet. Some cases it's getting above nearly 15,000 feet. But we do a little bit more of a specified circle here, or a specified line. You can kind of tell debris is going to get pretty high up in some cases. We're going to get debris there mainly around 15,000 feet to 10,000 feet. As well as seeing some pretty extreme debris going on there around 10,000 to 20,000 feet. But let's now go ahead and get, I believe we do have a new tornado watch, actually. So let's go ahead and check a look at that, because I do believe there is a tornado watch. So let's go ahead and get a latest look. And let's see now if the new day 1 has finally loaded for us. But yeah, there is a tornado watch. Tornado 0565 is the watch number. But let's go ahead and get a look at that. So while this loads, like I said, my Wi-Fi runs quite slow when it comes to when I stream, so bear with me as this loads very slowly. But I believe there is a new tornado watch for some of these areas. So this is definitely some really slow Wi-Fi. But while that loads, I go back to GR2 Analyst again. We are seeing some really intense not intense rotation, but we're seeing some really intense debris all across the Scranton area, Jefferson area, Ralston area. All this general area is seeing some pretty high debris aloft, up to 10,000 to 15,000 feet. So there's definitely a lot going on there. If you look at the base velocity, we're also seeing some really, really intense rotation near these areas. I mean, look at these areas right here. This is some pretty intense rotation. Look at the areas near Cooper. That is definitely really matching up with that debris right here. I think we possibly have a tornado on the ground just in the northwest of Cooper. Because look at that rotation. We most likely do have a tornado to the northwest of Cooper. So if you're near Cooper, anywhere northwest of Cooper, I would recommend you guys do take shelter immediately. Let's go ahead and look at the overall. This is 77 miles an hour on 36 to around 40 miles an hour. But if we, again, let's see, we're going to place a marker right here. Place a marker right here. We're kind of see the V-rot. So we're going to be seeing, let's see here. We're going to be seeing some V-rot around 49 knots, 52 knots. 52 knots is our highest, and then 56 knots, 58 knots. So we are definitely seeing a pretty intense area rotation as well. We do have some pretty intense rotation going on over here as well. Well, that just went off on us. So we're gonna go back here, place marker, and we're gonna be seeing the V-rot here. So V-rot's definitely a lot less intense across this area, 42 knots or so. But we are definitely seeing a lot of spotty areas of some pretty intense rotation in general. So keeping a very close eye on this though, because there is a lot of rotation starting to be seen across this as we get in a more favorable environment again. We do have a 10 sig obviously across this area, so we're going to be definitely keeping a very close eye on the possibility of, as we continue throughout Iowa, the likelihood of seeing tornadoes is going to definitely increase. But Greene, Jefferson, Farland, you guys are definitely in the neck of the woods, so definitely keep a very close eye on it, especially near the general area near Jefferson and Greene. You guys are also going to have to keep a very close eye on that. But if we look at the debris, again, debris is all over the place. I mean, there is so much debris being lofted somewhere along this fallen area. See if any of this rotation matches up with it. So we have practically the one right here near Greene, just to the northwest of, or just to the west of Jefferson. That also kind of matches up with debris. I mean, a lot of these areas are really kind of going all over the place. But we are seeing some pretty intense rotation all over the place, starting to be visible of rotation and some rotating mesos along this line. But let's now go ahead and get a look at this finally loaded for us. So there is a tornado watch right there. So this tornado watch does include a high risk of tornadoes. So this is, or a high probability of tornadoes. So here are the county that involves. So this tornado watch is included for the eastern area of this severe weather risk for the overnight hours. So this includes far western Illinois, the far two counties there of northeastern Missouri, eastern Iowa, including the I believe this includes Iowa City. I believe it includes Davenport in that general area. It includes now as well Wisconsin. So Madison, Wisconsin under a tornado watch. Much of central and western Wisconsin under tornado watch, as well as southeastern Minnesota, including the Twin Cities, are also under a tornado watch. And again, the probabilities for a tornado are high. We look at the overall probabilities. We have a 90% for 2 or more tornadoes, and a 40% probability of 1 or more strong EF2 plus tornadoes. So 90-40 is definitely a pretty weird probability. So we do have obviously a greater than 95% for wind. So obviously this would be a very, very I believe this would be under a PDS watch, because we do have a higher probability for 2 or more for one event. So we do have above 80% for wind on both probability of 10 or more severe wind events and a probability of 1 or more events higher than 65 knots. So we have above a 95% practically. And then we, of course, we have a very low chance for hail in general of 10 or more hail events as well of severe hail. And the probability of 6 or more combined severe hail or wind events is obviously as well pretty high. So definitely very high probabilities for severe wind. Again, if we look at the overall description here, again, we do have a tornado watch including eastern Iowa, northwest Illinois, southeast Minnesota, northeast Missouri, and west and central Wisconsin, effective until 11 p.m. Central. Primary threats include several tornadoes, likely with a couple intense tornadoes possible. So again, as we go towards this area along eastern Iowa, southeastern Minnesota, and portions of Wisconsin, definitely going to be seeing a lot likely or a lot more, let's say, I'd say, favorable environment for tornadoes, specifically intense tornadoes, as we're going to be seeing. More likelihood for some more forcing being visible along that area as well. Going to be seeing some better thermos, but overall, just a better environment in general as we go into the nocturnal phase. Summary overall lineup of thunderstorms over western Iowa is racing east northwestward at 60 to 70 miles an hour, producing widespread and significant wind damage. Several embedded tornadoes are also being reported. These storms will persist through the evening and affect the watch area. The tornado watch is approximately along the 80 state or statute. I'm not what the and 80. I have actually never seen that word before. But east and west of lines from 50 miles north of Eau Claire, Wisconsin to 40 miles southwest of Moline, Illinois for a complete description of the watch. See the associated watch outline updated. But again, this is the overall aviation is tornadoes and a few severe thunderstorms with hail, surface, and a loft of 0.5 inches, extreme turbulence, and surface winds to 80 knots, as well as going to be a few cumulonimbi with maximum tops of 450, mean storm motion vector as well. But going to be seeing overall, we do again a PDS. This will be a PDS tornado watch, obviously because it has a high both above 80% for two things. So this is a PDS tornado watch. Again, if we now look at back at GR2 analysts here, let me actually get this out here of the CC drop or the collision coefficient in general. So let's see the new update. So we now have a new tornado warning here, a reported tornado warning. I believe this is for the same thing I've been looking at, which is going to be the Richard storm. And actually, we have multiple areas of debris all over the place, so I can't really tell you which one it specifically is for. But tornado warning for northeastern Greene County, Webster County, southeastern Calhoun, northwestern Boone, and southwestern Hamilton. A tornado producing storm was located 2 miles west of Jefferson, and that's exactly the storm I was looking at before. I was looking at the day or the tornado watch. So this is 2 miles. This is going to be 2 miles west of Jefferson. So here's Jefferson. Now it's going to be up here at this point, so near Farland. That's what we're going to be watching out for. So here's the base velocity. So obviously this is now going to be at this point. It's going to be within the general area near Churton. It's obviously we go towards where it was actually reported. There actually was 2 miles west of Jefferson. That's where I was pointing out. We had that V rod around 50. And now it's kind of rapidly gusting out. So there's going to be very brief tornadoes if they even form. Or obviously they will 100% form. Definitely very high likelihood they do form. But they're going to be very, very brief as we're going to be seeing some pretty rapid upscaling. Some of these, obviously, mainly the linear mode. The only reason why we're going to be seeing some decent rotation along these mesocyclones as well as some frequent rotation is because of, obviously, the shear and the overall kinematics are really crazy. And be seeing this vertical shear is going to be absolutely carrying this event in general when it comes to tornado wise and wind wise in general. And then of course going to be seeing that pretty good thermos. We are seeing some pretty impressive dew points actually. Since these tornado warnings are kind of dying out a little bit right now, I think it's time that we can probably take a look at the overall ARRR and the future ARRR for the overnight hours, including the areas under that new tornado watch. So we actually look at 22Z on this, and we can get a look at what we're looking at here on the composite reflectivity. So we're going to be looking at a forecast loop and just see expected what's to come. But I'm actually going to change this location and actually go towards the Midwest now that this is moving into Iowa. So I want to wait for that. So definitely be watching out for northeast Iowa, southwest Wisconsin, southeast Minnesota, as well as far and west central Illinois for some decent tornado potential. And we do have a tornado watch for that area with a with it being PDS driven because of the wind. But here's the overall latest ARRR 22Z. So there's that really strong QLCS. Of course, there you can be seeing the main low pressure now eventually moving towards South Dakota. And if you now go towards really 1Z, there it's now going to be going straight through Des Moines in the heart of Iowa. Now it's as well going to be making its way towards its presence being visible across south central Minnesota as well. We're going to be seeing the squall going all the way down to Oklahoma. We have that slight risk. And then you can kind of see a few areas of rotating updrafts right there across northeast Iowa. Like I did say, that's going to be the main area, in my opinion, to watch out for tornadoes, as well as southeast Minnesota, where you do a few spots of updraft, rotating updrafts. But other than that, we don't have too many areas. Again, we have a few right now, obviously, in the southwest portion of Iowa, but we don't have too much more rotating updraft signatures. But if we actually look at the overall updraft helicity for 2 to 5 kilometers, for the remaining of the system, I'm going to be seeing some really, really high storm relative helicity numbers being visible all across this area. Again, I'm going to be seeing some really, really good rotation across this area in general, which is as well going to be a pretty big reason to why we're going to be seeing a lot of these rotating mesos. So if we look at the overall updraft helicity, again, they're not going to be too much updraft helicity, nor are we going to be seeing too much intense updraft. Again, we're not going to be seeing the most intense forcing on the ground itself, but definitely seeing some visible updraft helicity across the Iowa area. We do have that surface-based veering with high allowing for some obviously some thunderstorm development as well, with some forcing being allowed to enter these updrafts. And then as we continue to go a little bit higher up, we're going to be seeing some very strong back to winds and some cold air advection. It's going to allow as well for some EMLs. So that's going to allow for favorable upscale growth, and that's going to allow for this strong linear mode, and as well it's going to really, really help to obviously create this large wind gust front. And as well, we are going to be seeing some DK values of over 1,000, which is pretty impressive. But you can kind of see the overall updraft helicity is kind of going to be mainly tracking across eastern Iowa. Not going to be seeing too much going on there in Kansas. It's going to be some very lower to lap values across Missouri. But as we continue to northeast Iowa, we're going to be seeing some more denser numbers. Going to be seeing a little bit less tracks, but some more denser numbers of updraft helicity. Going to get as high as around 90 meters per second. And as we now continue towards the Minnesota border, we're going to be seeing around an area of nearly 100 meters per second. But we also now look, actually I think we should go back to GR2 analysts, because again we do have that tornado on the ground. At least I believe it's still on the ground here, but let's look at this. Again, tornado predicting storm is located 2 miles west of Jefferson. So again, they have not updated this as of yet, but if we look at CC, clear, here's a clear storm now near Peyton, and we can just get a look at that. So this definitely looks like a pretty intense, again, debris. So let's not make our way towards the actual track itself. So I'm going to be seeing a lot of this debris staying pretty low, actually. It's going to be staying pretty much below 10,000 feet. So that's definitely not going to be extremely impressive, but we are seeing some pretty dense debris aloft across this area. And there it is, smooth. I know a lot of people don't like smooth, but there is smooth debris right there across the Lanyon area. Again, if you look at smooth, it's going to be a little bit more visible. You can kind of see there's that debris kind of right there towards below 10,000 feet is where that main debris is going to be visible. But let's go back to the non-smooth. But yeah, we're going to continue to really watch out for this. And again, there's that really strong winds and that really strong gust now making their way towards Des Moines. I think I do have a webcam for Des Moines. Let's see how that's doing here as this is getting a lot closer to Des Moines. There's that really strong gust front moving in. That's going to be seeing that really strong, really heavy rain just coming in like a train, just going to be moving very quickly here. You're going to definitely feel that rain and wind coming from miles away. As well, you can guys see that same case as we do have a few additional tornado warnings across the areas of the northern portion of Iowa. We do have a few areas of broad rotation near the Pocahontas area and as well near the Rockwell city. So we do have a few tornado warnings and just a couple. So we have one, actually this one actually has been canceled. And then let's see about this one. This warning is for northwestern Webster County, southeastern Pocahontas County, and northeastern Calhoun County. 5:44, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 8 miles east of Rockwell City, moving northeast at 70 miles an hour. As well, we do have some pretty intense rotation near Lanyon. Again, that is where that debris is being located right now. So we possibly do have a pretty intense tornado on the ground. That's a really, really, really intense rotation right there. Holy cow, look at that. That is extremely intense rotation near Lanyon. So if you are in Lanyon, please take shelter immediately. If you're near Harcourt, please take shelter immediately. We do have some very intense debris being lofted here. Covering here on 20.8%. It's pretty low as well. We have another area of now, let's see, 22.8%. Very, very, very low values here. If we go to base velocity, there's that really strong rotation being felt. So we got to go to the highest value here. If we place our marker here, you can kind of tell we're going to see some really strong winds going to be seeing here. But 73.8, 74.9, 80.5, 80.5. That's what we're going to be seeing here closer. 83.9, basically 84 miles an hour on 50.3 miles an hour. So that's some really, really strong winds going on there. We do have a V-rot here around 60. So this is definitely a little bit more intense than when it was previously towards the Bagley and Bayard area. But this has definitely got some really intense debris. I mean, if we look at smooth, it looks really crazy. But let's now look at this overall now, this whole thing, and see how it looks now. I bet debris is lofting towards 20,000 feet at this point. Yeah, lofting closer to 20,000 feet here. I mean, look at that. This debris as well getting as high as above 20,000 feet in some cases. If we kind of swing it in general, a lot of debris is pretty high now. It's getting above 10,000 feet mainly as well, getting some cases above 20,000 feet. If we kind of just scroll through, there you can kind of see the debris a little bit higher than it was previously. Let's now go towards Harcourt. Harcourt as well does have some pretty intense debris. So this is actually getting above 20,000 feet here. If you kind of swing in motion, you see the main majority is towards 10,000. You kind of go a little bit more. You kind of see this slightly getting higher at 20,000 feet. So we are going to be seeing some debris getting as high as 20,000 feet there across the Harcourt area. So definitely some pretty intense tornado going on there near Harcourt, because that's what we do have, that pretty intense rotation near Harcourt as well. So again, that's where we do have at least we don't have any updates on this warning just yet, but we will most likely get some updates later on. Again, we do have a lot of warnings now go all the way down there near Kansas City. It's kind of just right on the border. It's not on the Missouri side yet, but it does include the Kansas side, but it does not include the Missouri side, really, unless you're in North Kansas City, then you're in that warning. But I have not checked the chat in a while, so let's see if we have any new messages on the chat. Let's see if we have any new messages. I have not checked the chat in a while. Prayers go out to the people in Iowa in the path of these tornadoes. Definitely, most likely, I would definitely a lot is going to be going on there across Iowa. I mean, really, really intense winds as well. Possibly some decent overnight tornadoes, specifically across the northeastern portion of the state. But we did get a few across southwestern Iowa not too long ago. Agent, do you think the snow squall is going to follow these storms? I mean, they're going to kind of follow on the kind of northwest side. So if you're not near South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, you're going to be seeing that really intense snow squall. Again, we actually do have a snow squall warnings, or there actually was snow squall warnings, but they're no longer in place. But there were a ton earlier on. But yeah, let's go ahead and check now at the report. We have not checked the report in a good bit. But again, for those who are just joining in, I want to show you guys the new day one outlook. There was a special advisory, and the special advisory made people think that they're going to go high risk, which I think a high risk would be justified. But here is the latest convective outlook. Again, there is a new day one outlook, and it is now obviously going to continue to change as this event quickly moves to the northeast at around 70 to 80 miles an hour. So this moderate risk no longer really includes the Nebraska area, and when it did come out, it was slightly included into Nebraska, but obviously these are way out of Nebraska's way now. All Nebraska's about to get now is that Dust Bowl storm that's really following on the backside of that QLCS as the winds are picking up everything really in its path, at least when it comes to dust. But here's the overall look. Again, this is the latest day one outlook, and there is still a 10% hatch, including much of the majority of eastern and just the majority of northern and central Iowa, including southeastern Minnesota. Then we have a 10 non-hatch across portion of Wisconsin. And then we have the hatch frisk all as far north as portion near Stevens Point, Wisconsin. And then we have a 30% non-sig for Kansas City. But we do have around 8.5 million people under the significant severe weather. It's for the 15, 30, or 45. It includes Omaha, Minneapolis, Twin Cities in general, Des Moines, as well as Cedar Rapids, Iowa. But again, I'm definitely going to continue to track as this goes into the northeast Iowa area. I think once I go to around maybe 7:30 Eastern, I may have to end the stream like I did. Like I said, I still have finals to study for, so I may continue to stream for another hour or so, and then I will try my best to stream as long as possible. But again, if you are new to the channel, I would recommend you guys subscribe to the channel. Any chance Brooklyn gets a twister? Nope, you guys are completely fine there in Brooklyn. Actually, some really good weather, at least as I know. So again, keeping a very, very close eye on this. Again, very intense winds going on there across the Iowa area, starting to approach the Des Moines region. So if you're near Des Moines, you guys are definitely going to be experiencing these winds approaching your area again. Here comes that really intense squall. It's really infecting portions of the metro area, Adel, Waukee, Van Meter, DeSoto. If you guys in that general area, you guys are practically about to get hit by this main squall. And then, of course, we have these warnings stretching all the way down to Kansas. But Kansas is kind of, there are going to be some pretty intense winds. I mean, if we look at a few warnings, we do have some warnings for around 60 mile an hour gusts. But obviously, the 70 to 80 to 90 mile an hour gusts are a lot more intense here across Iowa. Look at near Dallas Center in Dallas, we're seeing some really, really intense wind there. Look at this 75 mile an hour report there, 70 near the areas near Minburn as well. We're seeing some pretty intense winds going all across the areas of Stafford. But let's now check our debris here. Again, we did have some pretty intense debris near the Harcourt area, and now it's making its way towards Callender. Again, a lot of this can most likely be related towards the wind itself, the QLC itself, but there is definitely a possibility. There obviously was a possibility we did get a tornado there near Harcourt. Really intense rotation there. We had a VR at around 60, and we did have debris lofting up to 20,000 feet, so that's going to be something to keep a very, very close eye on if you are in that general area. Like I said, if you are new to the channel, I would recommend you guys subscribe. I really appreciate it as well. If you hadn't already done so, be sure to smash that like button. I would really appreciate every single like to show that you guys like my live streams. But again, I'm going to continue to try my best to cover as long as possible. I won't be able to live stream this whole event because obviously I have finals tomorrow, which is obviously pretty much important. But yeah, be sure to again smash that bell notification icon so you guys can get notified when I stream, because I know a majority of those who like my community posts do not join my streams. But we have a new large severe thunderstorm warning here. This is a regular warning. It is not PDS warned, but it does include a lot of counties all across the central portion and north central portion of Iowa. There it is right there. Basically from north of Des Moines all the way towards the Minnesota border is practically where it includes. And we do have a severe thunderstorm warning again as 552. 552 is when it was issued. Actually, yeah, 552. And it's until 6:45 Central Time. So it's going to be lasting just under another hour or so. And we're going to be looking at this storm moving, or this line of storms moving east at 85, or northeast at 85 miles an hour. The main hazard is going to be 80 mile an hour wind gusts. So definitely be watching out for any loose objects to possibly fly away. But yeah, definitely this is a pretty dangerous situation. Again, if you do not want to be outside in this weather, you do not want to be outside. This is a very, very intense QLCS is rushing very quickly. So if you're on the road, I recommend you do not go on the road. I recommend you get somewhere where there is a safe building, because treat this like a tornado, because obviously there could definitely, with a system like this, tornadoes just come very quickly. I mean, rotation, these mesocyclones just can unfold super quickly. And in a lot of these cases, well, you can't really see tornadoes. So either way, you want to treat this as a tornado, because this is going to be blowing at your face at around 80 to 85 miles an hour. In some cases, gusts up to 90 miles an hour. So definitely do not want to be outside in that. So, hello, Anna R. How are you doing? I'm just getting on. Could anyone get on the chat give me a quick update? Well, I can give you a quick update right now. This band QLCS has now made its way towards Iowa, making its way towards Des Moines, and we're gonna start watching out for this now to make its way in presence across Minnesota. We did have a severe warning a few hours or a few minutes ago across that area, but we're going to continue to watch out for these storms to make their way closer to Minnesota and, of course, make their way across northeast Iowa. We do have the chance for some decent tornado potential. All right, but continuing to watch out. Hopefully that update was good for you, Anna R. Again, this is a very intense storm that's practically moving northeast at around 80 to 85 miles an hour. Definitely not a fun system. Again, this is a really rapid, intense QLCS. We did already see some good tornadoes, at least a decent amount of tornado reports. Here's the latest update. We do have a moderate risk again for Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. And here's the overall latest storm reports. Again, we have a ton of storm reports for wind alone and a lot alone as well for significant. This as well could honestly have been issued as a high risk for sure. You're super duper welcome, Anna R. Hey, Adrian, the weather is wild across North America these days, even up north in Canada. Really not typical for December. Yeah, everything about this December has been pretty much weird. I mean, we are pretty much off. We first off have been seeing record-breaking heat temperatures ever since the first week of December. Really intense positive vortex or positive oscillation with some pretty strong zonal flow across the United States. Everything's been really spring-type weather across this December. Not only that, with temperatures, but obviously spring-type weather when it comes to tornadoes. Obviously, the possibly historic December outbreak in, last Friday with the potential for the quad tornado that could very well break the record for the tri-state tornado. But again, there is still questions about whether it did cycle or not. But that's not the point. This September has definitely been pretty weird, and now we have another moderate risk. We have two moderate risks within 5 days, and this is a wind-driven moderate risk in the Midwest, which is not common at all for December. But we have 10 tornado reports. We have 188 wind reports and 37 significant severe reports. So wind reports are, I'd say, definitely not coming at such a rapid rate as they were in Nebraska and Kansas. But we do have now a report here just near Dallas of up to 80 miles an hour. So if you're in Des Moines, you guys want to take shelter now because this is about to make its way into your area. So definitely please take shelter if you're in Des Moines because this is just at the east of you. You have an 80-mile report. Again, you do not want to be outside in this. Again, this is something you want to treat as a tornado because this is a very intense QLCS at night. You don't want to be on the road. You don't want to be outside. You don't even want to be on anywhere close to windows because, again, we've seen, photos of debris. There is already reports of a house in Kansas or Nebraska that had a roof blown off. So this is something that you just don't want to underestimate just because it's not a tornado. Again, we have plenty of tornado warnings, but right now we're kind of seeing a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings taking over. Again, a lot of these, a majority so far have been PDS, and we do have a PDS tornado watch for wind across this eastern Iowa and general area in the eastern threat of severe weather. Again, for those who are just joining in, I would recommend if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and like the stream. I'm not going to be able to stream much longer, maybe 30 minutes, because like I said, I do have finals to study for 2 classes. I have economics and then I have an AP class, so there's a lot going on tomorrow, so I'm not going to be able to stream as long as I would have wanted to. So I do apologize for that. At least thankfully there's other channels that stream, but But let's go ahead and check our latest look now at the latest power outages. We have not checked that in a while, so let's see how many people are out without power now across this general area. I know definitely starting to see an increase across. I look at Kansas now. Kansas is really increasing around 11% without power. Because you have 105,000 or actually 106,000 without power, with a 1,100,000 with track. So we have around 11% without power across Kansas. And look how widespread it is. Just all across the whole state in general. It's not one specific area. It's just all across the whole area in general. But yeah, we do have just a lot going on here in general. We do have counties there near Saline County around 70-ish% without power in that general area. Gonna keep a very, very close eye on that for sure. As well, we do have towards Ellis County around 70-ish to 80% without power. A lot of counties just in general are without power. So we have 11% practically of Kansas without power, which is definitely pretty significant. Very, very significant. As well, we're going to be seeing a lot of these power outages now increasing across Iowa, around 27,000 without power, mainly across the western portion. It's staying pretty much similar. Or actually, Mills actually has a lot without power. 5,000 out of 7,000 reported, or at least customers are without power. And a lot of these warnings are starting to expire without being expanded nor issued again. So definitely very interesting. I think once I hit the 2-hour mark, I'm probably getting this stream, guys. I do apologize. I just have to study for these finals. But again, this is gonna get really intense for Des Moines. I mean, Des Moines, we just had a report of 80 miles an hour, 3 miles west of Dallas Center. I mean, definitely really intense winds gonna be moving in across this area. Just look at these winds going towards the radar. Just absolutely going straight like that so quickly. So you're gonna start feeling it already. Very, very soon. Again, we're gonna be seeing as well some debris possibly with the wind related. And then we have a pretty large debris ball here toward the let's see here, Fort Dodge area. We do have still a tornado watch in effect till 8 p.m. Central across this area. But here's a debris ball. There is not really too much rotation going on with this, so it's going to be most likely with that wind-related debris. So a lot of the debris we're seeing right now are actually related towards the wind and not tornadoes. But yeah, it seems that it's starting to die off a little bit right now. Again, the wind threat's obviously really, really crazy, and it's definitely not dying off. But at least the tornado threat right now seems to be calming down a little bit, but it most likely will not calm down a little bit later on as we go toward a more favorable area like Chickasaw, near near Hampton, towards Alamaki, Clayton, those general areas, Delaware, Waterloo. You guys are gonna be seeing as well pretty big tornado threat. But if we go towards, like, of course, Rochester, Clarks Grove, Chatfield, and Minnesota, you guys also have a pretty big tornado potential and wind potential. So this is going to continue to stay as an overnight threat. So definitely not going to be able to cover all of that. But yeah, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. I try to stream as long as possible. Like I said, I do have finals. I was going to post a video, but I thought it'd be better to at least have a stream on at least some part of this event. So that's what I did. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video or / stream. I know it definitely was pretty short. And definitely, I guess, definitely did not last as long as I wanted to. But